Oh, man, it feels so good to be back from a long Thanksgiving break. Just in time to call bullshit so you don't step in it. My guy, former Empire star Jussie Smollett, a.k.a. the self-proclaimed gay Tupac.
I'm the gay Tupac.
Gay Tupac is a great name because Jussie's career is as alive as Tupac is. It just depends what you believe. He could be alive, he could be alive, all right? Jussie is on trial for allegedly Jamal lying about a hate crime attack in 2019, okay? If convicted, he could face up to 3 years in prison, and I'm calling bullshit on that, all right? Drop the charges, give him probation, but 3 years in prison? All right, this wasn't a hoax, just method acting gone wrong, all right? So what? He told a little white lie to the police. Who doesn't lie to the police? Y'all lie to the police? All right? And I can hear some of y'all now, well, he didn't just lie to the police, he lied to the black community. Maybe, but what don't lie to his community, okay? Sometimes we make up shit for entertainment purposes, Nyla. Do I make up shit?
All the time.
All the time, okay? But for entertainment purposes, all right? Hey, Jussie, gay Tupac, keep your head up, all right? Now, in nasty news, Jeffery Epstein's former pilot testified that Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Prince Andrews flew on Epstein's private plane, AKA his child sex trafficking dungeon in the sky, okay? Are liberal news media outlets reporting on this? I don't know, I've been out the country. They're not, right? Feels kind of quiet on this, and that's why I'm calling bullshit, because if Trump was the only one in that alleged minor-loving Mile High Club, I'm willing to bet the millions Trump doesn't pay in taxes that the media would be all over this like Epstein on the... You know what? Never mind. Listen. Forget I said that. Now, can I have a self-serving moment, please? All right, this was very dope, because, you know, I was on vacation. I was in Turks and Caicos, and I was having dinner, and my father-in-law got a call that I was an answer on Jeopardy.
TV 2000.
Last clue. He hosts The God's Honest Truth. Amy.
Was Charlamagne Tha God?
That's correct. Wow, that takes you to 25,000.
We thank God for it all, baby. I was surprised when I found out it was for this TV show, though, you know, but I gotta call bullshit. The fact this was the $2,000 question means the writers of Jeopardy were trying to come up with the hardest question they could to stump 3 white people. And the question was, who hosts this show? But you know what? I always want to be the most difficult question for white people to answer. I love being that black, all right? And salute to Amy Snyder, because Amy didn't hesitate at all with the answer. She said it with her chest. Amy, you're welcome on The God's Honest Truth anytime, okay? Now we gotta get serious for a second, all right? Earlier this week, there was a terrible school shooting that took place at Oxford High School in Michigan, all right? Before I unpack it, I wanna give my sincerest condolences to the students and victims of the violence there. Guns are a serious matter, and I do not take this lightly, which is why I wanna talk about something that's been heavy on my mind, okay, prior to this tragedy. Let's unpack this. Yeah, during our time off, some major verdicts came in. Ahmaud Arbery's murderers, those thugs, all right, 3 proud members of the domestic terrorist organization Al Cracker, all right, Travis McMichael, William Bryan, and Gregory McMichael, got what they earned and were found guilty by a mostly all-white jury. Salute to those good white people, okay? All right? Don't applaud them for what they were supposed to do. This was an open and shut case. All right? On the other hand, in the case of Warhead's mascot, Kyle Rittenhouse, justice was not quite served. All right? Kyle was found not guilty by a 92% white jury, which, to put that in perspective, is only 8% less white than the cast of Succession. All right? Come on, HBO. I know the show is about racist billionaires, but you couldn't even hire a person of color as a series regular for them to be racist, too? Now, we can debate about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. All right, he had no business being at a Black Lives Matter protest for Jacob Blake. At the least, he could have gotten some type of weapons charge. But we can agree on this. When it comes to these 2 tragic stories, there is one dangerous common denominator. Vanilla vigilantism, okay? Yes, white people are taking the law into their hands. All right, in Kyle's case, his white ass walked free on the grounds that he used self-defense. And here's the thing, I agree with him when he says that self-defense is not a crime. You might not remember this, but the original name of the Black Panthers was the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense. They, like Kyle, were also walking around with large assault-type weapons. All right, if you saw the Ahmaud Arbery trial last week, you may have noticed some of the members of the new Black Panthers carrying weapons during a protest outside of the Glenn County Courthouse. By the way, this terrifies white people, all right? Do you know what happened to the original Black Panther Party? They were targeted by the FBI, had their leaders assassinated, and were persecuted by the government and media. In fact, white people were so scared of black men legally, let me repeat, legally defending themselves with guns out in the open, patrolling for self-defense, that then Governor of California, Ronald Reagan, helped pass the Mulford Act in 1967, which repealed the California law that made it legal to carry arms publicly. You know who also endorsed this law? The NRA. And the NRA trying to turn back gun rights is like when McDonald's started funding research to end childhood obesity. Motherfucker, you are the reason there's childhood obesity. But I digress. White America likes to pretend that the Second Amendment is sacred, but the second African Americans try to use it to protect themselves, even the goddamn NRA is for gun control. So, what do we do about this? Well, I believe every black person should practice their legal right to keep and bear arms to protect themselves, their family, and their home, okay? Just like Kenneth Walker, all right, the boyfriend of Breonna Taylor, whose charges of assault and attempted murder against a police officer were dismissed. Kenneth didn't know who was breaking into his house, so he defended his home as officers wrongfully raided and murdered his girlfriend. I feel like if Trayvon Martin had been armed that night, he was being fatally stalked by George Zimmerman, he would have been well within his rights to stand his ground and use his gun in self-defense. But instead, a hoodie was used to paint Trayvon as a threat. And George Zimmerman has yet to suffer any consequences other than looking like Walter White if he was too dumb to cook meth and too fat not to try any, all right? For centuries, white privilege has led many white men to believe that it's their responsibility to act as a proxy to law enforcement. They think that if a cop isn't around, then they get to be one. Newsflash, white people. You are not equal to police officers just because you may be in the same Klan chapter as a few of them, all right? You see, in America, vigilantism is an exclusive privilege for the whites. In this country, if a vigilante is black, he's a terrorist. And if he's white, he's Batman, okay? If we are going to live in a world full of vanilla vigilantes who think every day is the purge, then black and brown people, listen up. Buy all illegal firearms you can, okay? A black and brown person owning a legal firearm in America is a form of self-care, all right? I'm not saying go berserk and buy a bazooka, but feel free to treat yourself with a gun and train at the gun range. By the way, this is the standard target of the gun range. You have people practicing by firing exclusively at a black figure, and you still can't figure out why they're hunting us down? Go buy guns. Learn to use them. Best case scenario, it freaks out the NRA and Republicans so much, they finally passed the reasonable and responsible gun control we should have had decades ago, and would have prevented tragedies like the one that happened in Michigan this week. Either way, white people might finally be forced to face justice, and that's the kind of world we want to live in, correct? Worst case scenario, we end up with all the guns. And considering that the Department of Homeland Security ranks white supremacy as the country's #1 terrorist threat, they might just come in handy, okay? In the words of Raekwon the Chef, you got guns, we got guns too, all right? Hey, it's the voice of the people. Well, not all people, some people. Okay, maybe just friends and family. Charlamagne Tha God here, blessing your screen. Now do yourself a favor and subscribe to the God's Honest Truth YouTube channel.